The U.S. State Department has spent months digging through its own computers for files about Harry, and on July 30, it finally produced an answer. 18 documents, every single one withheld in full. 289 more are still under review. But the visa blackout is only the start of a bad week for Montecito Manor. An insider is calling Meghan her own worst enemy for being too guarded to build a real media career. And Cookie Queens, the Girl Scout documentary the Harkle's executive produced, got panned as a reality show ramble and beaten at the box office by a compilation of cat videos. Welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Let's get down to it. And let's start with what? Let's start with the paperwork. Because this is a story that will not die, no matter how many courts try to bury it. The Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank in Washington, has been chasing Harry's American immigration trail for years. First, they sued the Department of Homeland Security for his visa records, arguing the public had a right to know whether he was candid about past drug use and abuse when he entered the United States. So Harry has spoken publicly about cannabis, cocaine, magic mushrooms, and ayahuasca. So Heritage's theory was very simple. Either he disclosed that history and still got in, which raises questions about special treatment, or he did not disclose it, which raises questions about the truthfulness of immigration forms. So Judge Carl Nichols sided with the government. He ruled that Harry's privacy interests outweighed any public interest in those records. So Heritage lost. So in 2025, they filed a new case. This time against the State Department, asking for everything else the department holds on Harry, apart from the visa papers themselves. So Newsweek has seen the joint status report from the D.C. District Court, and officials searched State Department systems and found 307 responsive documents totaling 2,487 pages. And on July 30, of this year, they made their first interim production. 18 records, all withheld in their entirety. The Immigration and Nationality Act and FOIA exemptions were cited as the legal cover. So, we're talking about 289 documents that remain under review. So, the parties are due back with another status report on October of this year. And Newsweek approached Harry's representatives for comment, but you can guess how that went. Now, immigration lawyers have already told the press that yanking a visa without a criminal conviction is highly unusual, and that waivers exist. That is the normie read. The political read is louder. After the first loss, Heritage called the redactions suspicious. Donald Trump, in a 2024 interview with Nigel Farage, said if Harry lied about drugs, the system would have to act. But after the 2024 election, Trump cooled off. In February 2025, he said he would leave Harry alone, then took a swing at Meghan for free. So here's where we actually are right now. Years of lawsuits, a privacy win for Harry, a second FOIA case that produces a stack of, blank silence. Hundreds of pages still sitting in a government queue until at least mid-October. And a prince who built a brand on truth now depends on the state keeping his file shut. That is basically the comedy of Montecito transparency. They want every palace corridor on Netflix and every immigration form under lock and key. So the American public gets 0 pages. The next status report gets a calendar date. Harry gets to keep living in California while the paperwork stays a ghost story for now. But speaking of control, the Hollywood machine is still refusing to open the door Meghan needs most. An insider speaking to Closer and then picked up by the Express put it in one brutal line. Meghan is her own worst enemy, too guarded, too self-controlled, too scared to succeed in the podcasting world because that world only grows when you sit on other people's shows and answer hard questions in long form. So the source said that she is not willing to go to those lengths. And fans, the same source claimed, they keep looking for an authentic version of her and never quite get one. So think about what that means after years of carefully managed interviews, carefully managed Instagram, carefully managed Netflix framing. The product is always polished. The product is always on her terms. And the people who work at the media business for a living are now saying out loud that polish is the problem. You cannot build a podcast empire if every tough question feels like a security breach. You cannot row a show if the only long-form stage you trust is the one your publicists already cleared. So this is the Montecito trap in plain English. Protect the brand so hard that the brand never gets oxygen. You sell vulnerability as content, then refuse the settings where vulnerability is not a script. You call yourself open, while every microphone that is not on your payroll looks like a threat. So the Sausage Squad will call this, this is Meghan's wisdom. But yeah, the rest of the world will call it stage fright with a PR budget. Which brings us to the project that was supposed to prove they still belong in the room, Cookie Queens. Cookie Queens is a Girl Scout documentary executive produced by Harry and Meghan through Archwell Productions. It follows young scouts through the high-stakes cookie selling season. Roadside attractions put it into hundreds of theaters. Variety critic Owen Gleiberman was, let's say, not kind about the movie. He called it a reality show ramble and compared the format to Dance Moms and The Apprentice and said the film turns the girls' sales race into competition theater while skipping the deeper story of the cookie machine itself. He wrote that Cookie Queens is a movie about precocious American girls learning to work the system, but not fight it indeed. But then the weekend numbers landed. It opened in August 7 in roughly 446 theaters worldwide. And the box office take, about $328,000. Yeah, not in the top 10. Beaten by Cat Video Fest 2026. And it is exactly what you imagine what it is. A 70-minute compilation of cat videos that made more money from fewer screens. Per screen math for Cookie Queens sat under $1,000. So yeah, that is a product the public just walked past. Maybe it was the lack of marketing, but I thought that everybody was paying attention to Meghan. Well, Meghan did the promo tour anyway. BuzzFeed Tasty Kitchen bit with the scouts. Thin mints as her favorite. Soft messaging about teamwork and keeping a good heart. You remember that? We spoke about that in this channel. The brand still knows how to film a warm set, but the market didn't care. So critics shrugged. Cats won. Well, cats always win, to be fair. And when your feel-good documentary loses to a cat compilation, the problem is not a bad weekend of rain. The problem is that the audience had a choice, and yeah, they went for the cats. And I don't blame them. I would have gone for the cats as well. So I want you to hold the three frames together because it is like a rhyme. Government files, withheld media career advice, stay guarded or die on other people's pots. Hollywood product, a feel-good scout film that plays like reality TV and loses to internet cats. Yeah, it's every single one is more and more control. And a box office that still answers to strangers with popcorn money. So here's where we landed tonight. Harry's American paper trail stays dark. Meghan's industry whisper network says fear is a strategy. And, well, cats rule. But let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Roger Rogue. Much love and bliss.